Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Drumcast. It is Wednesday, mid-October, and Halloween is quickly approaching. There are some other things coming up, though. It is the month of beer, Oktoberfest. So let's all celebrate Oktoberfest. This is not beer, this is coffee. Delicious Pete's Dark Roast. If you have not tried Pete's, give it a shot, give it a whirl. Very good. Of course, percolated perfectly. I am your host, Mark Zapata. I am the owner and founder of MarkZDrums and the host of the MarkZDrumcast here on YouTube. My co-host Louie will be in and out from time to time, and we'll see him, and he will add to the show, as always. Today, we are going to... That was not a drum roll, by the way. Today, we are going to talk more about fill creation. I have a fun exercise that I came up with that I very much enjoy. It's very effective at helping us to unlock our minds. So we're going to get to that exercise in a moment. As far as everything else goes, it's a beautiful fall day here in the Northeast. We are smack dab in the middle of football season. The NFL season rolls on. The autumn of Mark rolls on. We are doing fun and exciting things here at the MarkZDrums Studios. I will tell you, we have many changes, many new things here at the MarkZDrums Studios, and very excited just to be here, just to be doing this today. Like I said, we're going to talk about fill creation. We're going to talk about a lot of things. We were doing band last night. One of my bands was rehearsing last night, and we're definitely making progress. Just keep in mind, rehearsal is different than practice. Now, practice is an individual thing that we engage in to improve our own skills, our individual skills. A rehearsal involves a number of musicians, a number of people, a band, getting together and working on their performance together as a whole. And when you're in a band situation, keep in mind that your responsibility is to know your part and to do your part. Know your part of the song, know your music, know your stuff down cold. Have it down cold. Don't ever give anybody a chance to call you out and say you don't know your parts. That's never fun. It's never productive for the band at all. And it always gives us a sense, and listen, I've been there, but not for a very long time. I made a promise to myself a long time ago that I would never be nervous about a gig or any situation because I'm not prepared. That will never be the reason. There might be other reasons why I might be nervous. The size of the crowd. Maybe I have certain extra responsibilities to make sure everybody gets there logistically, equipment-wise, whatever the case may be. But it'll never be that I'm unprepared to play and do my part. So this is what we are kind of struggling with now, and trying to convey to all the members of the band the importance of them knowing their parts, especially the drummers. Now, as drummers, we are timekeepers. That's our number one priority. We want to make sure that we're keeping solid time, and if we're learning a new song and we haven't quite gotten all of the details down yet, we need to make sure we can get from point A to point B. We could lead the band from the beginning of the song till the end, we know where the changes are at the very least. And we can perform the song in its most basic form, but properly according to the structure of the song, the changes in the song. That's most important. Because like I said, at the end of the day, our job is to keep time and provide a strong foundation for the rest of the band to follow. I understand that when we are learning songs and we're listening to the music, it's vastly different than performing in the band. We can listen to the music and we can get the timing from the song, we can get the cues from the song. But once we are without the song and we're in a band situation and now we are the timekeepers, we are responsible for the time, sometimes it feels like you're in a vacuum. Sometimes you're like, wait, I thought I knew this song, but then when there are no cues to help and there are no other things going on that you can hear in the song to kind of guide you, you kind of feel lost. So what we need to do as drummers is we need to learn that song so well that we could either play it in our minds and listen to it in our minds, or we can just feel where the changes are because we're so used to playing along to it or listening to it that we know how long each part is. So that's very, very important. That's something that I've been trying to convey to my student bands. And this particular band is new to me. I am new to them. So we are getting through. But, you know, it's working out really nicely. Everybody is trying their best. Everybody is working hard. Some members need to just put in a little more time. But again, I'm dealing with multi-instrumentalists. I'm dealing with students who have a lot going on between sports and music. So there has to be a balance. There has to be an understanding on my part of where their priorities are and what to expect, but also to encourage them to make enough time to be able to play in the band effectively. So when we are playing drums, we need to make sure that we are there for our bandmates. Everybody's listening to us for time. We need to make sure that we can execute our fills in such a way where we come out of the fill and back to the beat in the right part of the beat. In other words, if we're coming in on the 1 and 3, we need to be hitting the bass drum. If we're coming in on the 2 and 4, you know, this isn't a very basic rock beat scenario. If we're coming back in on the 2 or the 4, we need to be coming back in on the snare drum. This way, not to confuse ourselves or the rest of the band. So that's very, very important. But having a lot of fun working with my students, getting to know each one of them individually. There are a lot of students in this band, and there is some switching, right, of instruments. We have multiple bass players, multiple guitar players, multiple vocalists, multiple drummers, where there's a lot of instrument switching going on and different students are on different songs. So that in itself is challenging. But the enthusiasm is there, and I'm quickly learning who to kind of look for to help others and to assist in the process. And eventually I hope to get this band on the page where my other bands are, where they run their own rehearsals. They know what they're there to do. They're ready to do it. And they are focused on the task at hand. When you get to rehearsal, especially in a situation like this, you have to realize this may be once a week for an hour and a half that you get to be together with the rest of the band and work on your performance. That's not a lot of time in the week. So when you get to rehearsal, remember, this is an opportunity we need to take advantage of when we get together in a room, especially in the situations that my students have. They have all the equipment there, a full PA system, amps for bass and guitar, full drum set, all the mics that are needed, even lights, a stage, like everything they need is there. Okay, so sometimes it's difficult because the way these students have come up, that's what they're used to. They don't understand having to lug your own equipment somewhere or figure out how to get equipment or buying used equipment, figuring out where you can rehearse, whose basement can we rehearse in. Like, they don't understand the way it was. They just understand that they walk into a room, everything's provided for them, including direction from experienced band directors. So that's a whole different animal. And so I have to take that into consideration, that they don't understand the luxury that they have of being able to go in and just walk in and sit down and start playing. Personally, if I'm in a band situation and let's say the band is established and the person has a rehearsal space or the band is renting a rehearsal space, there's nothing better than walking in a room, sitting down at a drum set with my drumsticks and playing for 2 hours and getting up and walking out the door. There's nothing better than that. As opposed to when I used to have to bring my own drums, set them up, take that time, move that equipment. Nothing better than walking into a situation, sitting down and playing drums and then going home. So it's really cool. It's really fun. It's a different experience and a great experience. And we are going to be awesome. Now, the students themselves get to choose the songs. And then, changes might be made as far as who's playing what on what song. But, just be prepared. Do your part. Remember, you have a responsibility to the rest of the band to do your best, to play your part the best you can, to know the song, to know the changes. And again, be prepared to help your bandmates with signals, with eye contact, with whatever, a nod of the head. Okay, we're going to the next part now. Whatever it is. But just be prepared, get your stuff down, and get ready to roll. Okay, enough of that. Let's get down to the meat of the business. I've been working with some of my students, as I've said on past shows. I feel like I keep playing the same fills over and over again. I want to learn how to be more creative, right? And that's kind of been the theme for this month, is how do we become more creative? And like anything else, we practice certain skills. Listening is a skill. And when we're talking about learning songs, a huge part of learning songs is listening, but also playing in a band. When we're talking about playing in a band, a huge part of playing in a band is listening to your bandmates. Okay? As a drummer, I'm often keyed in on the bass player, but I'm listening to the entire band. And of course, they're listening to me, and they should be listening to each other. I remember I was just telling a story recently about a gig I had a while back where the stage was long and narrow. And so the drums were all the way in the back. The guitar amps were in front of the drums. And what I didn't realize was that I didn't have any monitors. We started the show. I could not hear a thing. I couldn't hear any guitar. I heard some bass because bass travels differently. I was able to feel the bass. Guitar amps more directional. And I was able to hear some vocals from the front monitors. So what I had to quickly do to get through the gig was watch my guitar player's hands on the neck of his guitar to see where the changes were. And this just came from rehearsing so much that I could plug my ears completely, not hear anything, and watch what the guitar player was doing. Watch when the vocalist was coming in. All of that stuff to give myself cues to where I was supposed to be in the song. And it worked out fine, but initially that, oh my God, I can't hear anything kind of feeling was kind of crazy. What's up, Jerry? So make sure that we are communicating with the rest of our bandmates, listening and watching for what everybody's doing. You can easily tell if a band is made up of musicians that are kind of playing in their own bubbles and they're not really they're not really paying attention or listening to what is going on in the rest of the band. They're just doing their own individual thing. So they're not aware if somebody makes a wrong change. They're not aware if somebody speeds up or if somebody slows down or if somebody misses a part, whatever the case may be, they're not aware. So that's another great reason why we need to be listening. In case something goes wrong, and let's say the vocalist comes in too soon, we can adjust. If everybody's listening, boom, we're aware. Okay, that person came in too soon. Let's adjust. Now we're in the chorus, but a little sooner than we thought, but we're going to play it right. So when the vocalist comes out of the chorus, we're done with the chorus. We're all on the same page. So listening, very, very important skill when we're learning music and when we're performing with our band. So a quick exercise I call 4-2-4-2. It's all 16th notes. This is what I want to concentrate on right now. I want to concentrate on 16th notes because it's an easy sticking. Right, left, 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 right, left. It's an easy sticking. I don't want to be worried about the sticking. I want to be concentrating. I want the majority of my brain to be able to concentrate on the other part of the exercise, which is moving around the drum set and alternating the amount of notes I'm playing on each drum. So that's where the 4-2-4-2 comes in. It's not always going to work out evenly. It all depends on how you do it, but that really doesn't matter right now. What we're really thinking about is switching between 4 notes on one drum and 2 notes on one drum and doing different patterns. I have 5 drums here. That changes things from somebody that has 4 drums or 3 drums, right? 1 rack tom, 1 floor, 1 snare, or 2 racks, 1 floor and a snare, 2 racks, 2 floors, a snare. Different configurations, different numbers of drums. So we're not going to get into necessarily counting beats right now, but just the idea of moving around the drum set using different numbers of notes. And we'll expand on this. We'll talk about expanding on this later on. But for right now, I'm going to turn my mic off and I'm going to show you a 4-2-4-2 pattern. And I'm just going to go high to low in this kind of circular pattern just to get started with. And we'll talk about that also coming up. So I'm going to do 4-2-4-2. So there you can see I was going 4-2, 4-2, 4-2, 4-2, 4-2, 4-2. And because of the number of drums that I have, an odd number of drums, the 4s and the 2s are landing in different spots as I'm going around in a circle, which is fine, and even better because that's a little more challenging. We can change up the pattern, 4-2-2-4, which I like because I like playing 16th notes across multiple drums in groups of 2. I think that sounds better. I think it sounds cooler. It's more fun to play because it's a little bit more challenging because you're moving between drums more quickly. So we're going to do 4-2-2-4, just going around in a circle, getting used to changing up the amount of notes on each drum. Here we go. And there you go. My beautiful pattern ended by a drop stick. That's always going to happen. Make sure when you're playing live especially, rehearsal is great too, to have extra drumsticks somewhere. I love the bag that hangs on the side of the floor tom, where I could just reach in with my right hand, boom, pull out a stick. If I drop the stick with my left hand, I quickly switch the one stick I have on my right to my left, reach down, pick up another stick, and I'm right back in without missing a beat. So I should have that here now. So there was a 4-2-2-4 pattern. And then we can do an odd number of changes. 4-2-2, 4-2-2, 4-2-2, 4-2-2. And that makes it a little more complex, a little more challenging, and it sounds like this. It's fun, it's challenging. And so again, we've changed the pattern. We've changed the sequence of 4s and 2s. We can mix and match them any way we want. We can do 4, 2, 2, 2, which is now more of what I like. Something like this. Don't forget to include your cymbals, bass drum as you start to move and get more comfortable moving around the drum set using different patterns. I do, it's funny, I had a student yesterday and we started to do this exercise and we started to build upon it. We started to make it more challenging to the point where my student looked like his head was going to explode. And we both laughed about it because I'm like, it's confusing me too. So what we were doing was the words, and I don't know if I've talked about this on the show, but I like to do an exercise which is also based around moving around the drum set in different patterns using letters. And what we do is we draw letters on the drum set using usually 4 drums because that's what I have to teach on. And we do letters. So if you look at the overhead camera, the C pattern would start here, come around to here. That would be a C. An O would be a complete circle. Starting on the drum or ending on the drum we started with, a capital L, let's say, would be down, and then across. A capital N would be up, diagonal across and up. I might have even talked about this on the last show. Capital Z, from here across, diagonal down, over here for a Z pattern. So it just gives us a way to practice different patterns around the drum set. And then we spell words like cool or zoo or what are some of the other words? Conclusion, illusions, things like that with lots of double letters and whatnot. So once you combine making the letters, we can decide what kind of pattern we play on each drum as we're making the letter. We can do 4 notes on each drum, 16th notes, to, let's say, make a C. Let's just do a C. Or we can do different patterns. We can do a paradiddle on each drum. Or we can do a 4-2-2-4 pattern to complete each letter. So we were doing that. And I was giving them different combinations of 4s and 2s to do the different letters. Also keeping in mind that sometimes when you're doing a letter, let's say you're doing an S and you end here. Well, some letters will end on a drum and then the next letter you're supposed to play will begin on that same drum. So now you're doing maybe a 4 and a 2 or a 2 and a 4 on the same drum. Can get confusing, but it's really fun and it makes us laugh as we are trying to figure these things out. But not only are we working on moving around the drum set and trying to do different patterns and come up with different fill ideas, always listening to what it sounds like. Wow, that sounds really cool. I really like that combination of toms. But we're also working on our processing power. We're working on taking an idea, moving it around the drum set, and then trying to increase our speed so that we're processing what we're doing, and then that gets translated into physical motion to actually play the parts around the drum set. So that processing speed is very important, especially when we're trying to play more complex things, when we're trying to play things at higher tempos. The thinking becomes less and the feeling becomes more, as we've talked about before. So it's super important and super fun to work on these things that challenge our brains to process the thing we're trying to do into the actual physical manifestation of doing this on the drums. It's the same way with sight reading. When we're reading music from a page, we start out slow because we're looking at the page, we're interpreting the notes, we're deciding what we need to do, and then we're physically doing it. In the beginning, a young sight reader or a beginning drummer learning sight reading, learning how to read, it's a slower process. The more practice and work we put into that sight reading, the quicker we're able to look at the notes, decide what they mean, make them happen on the drum set. And then, of course, the better we get at reading, the more we're able to read. We start to get into dynamics and accents and different kind of note combinations and different time signatures and different tempos and all kinds of things like that. So as we progress with our sight reading, we're learning how to process faster, and then we're also learning how to process more information at one time and then make it happen on the drum set. That's the whole point of sight reading. Now, if you get to a certain point, you want to become a professional drummer, you want to work in a studio, you want people to pay you to play drums to their music, you might walk into a studio situation, here you go, and they give you a piece of paper, or here you go, they give you a piece of paper, they give you some charts with the music on it. Hey, Louie has arrived, everybody. You get those drum charts, and yeah, you're being paid for your ability to read and perform that music like that. Time is money in the studio. We can't have a lot of wasted time doing takes over and over again, right? So you want to be as prepared as possible when you go to the studio. Be well versed on a click track if you're going to record music in a studio, because again, you want to spend as little time tracking as possible, get those takes done and over with, spend the majority of your time in production, in mixing, in whatever comes after the tracking. And for me, I never want to be that guy to be in the studio while people are waiting for me, looking at their watches going, oh, we got to do another take, man. This has been, however long already. I'm not going to be that guy. Believe me. So I'm always making sure that I'm prepared. So yeah, it's a fun exercise. Think about all the possibilities. Now, if we're going to take the 4-2-4-2 idea and just keep 16th notes, straight 16th notes, we have so many combinations of 4s and 2s that we can do. We have so many drums and cymbals and bass drum, hi-hat, everything that we can do. We can start to incorporate our hands and our feet. So these are the building blocks. These are the beginnings of how do we start expanding our minds to embrace all of these possibilities. Okay, so once we start to play around with the 4-2-4-2 thing, like I said before, maybe we can start changing the sticking to paradiddles or something more challenging than that. So then we could really start to work on moving around the drum set with different sticking around different drums in different sequences and patterns at increased tempos. So this is how we begin. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Check out my other socials, MarkZDrums on every platform, MarkZDrums on YouTube. Although I think you can find my YouTube channel, you're here. So go ahead and watch my videos. But if you were searching or telling a friend, MarkZDrums on YouTube, I think will get you there. I have a link tree in the description below this video and all of my videos. So when you watch, go down to the description section. You can see my link tree. My Patreon is launching very, very soon. I think it's a few days away. It's this coming Saturday. My Patreon will officially go live. Go ahead to MarkZDrums on Patreon. MarkZDrums.com is my website. Go and look at everything. Go and like everything. Go and share everything. Go and subscribe to everything. Go and follow everything. Go and thumbs up everything. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you had fun today. I certainly did. And I'll catch you guys next time.